Welcome to this video on Saint's risk-based solution, Saint VRM. In this video, we'll demonstrate how you can use the asset management features to view assets that have been added to your VRM repository, view system-assigned asset tags, as well as creating custom tags based on your local needs and defining rules to automate assigning these asset values of importance for tracking risk exposures across your environment. So first we'll go to the Manage tab and we'll look at our asset page. And there are a number of areas that you can work with in assets. The Asset tab, as you see here, shows you all the assets, the hosts that have been scanned or imported into the repository. Asset sources we'll talk about. Asset tags are the ways that you'll assign these values to the assets, either manually or through a bulk update. And asset rules are a mechanism for you to create in the VRM platform rule sets such as location equal Toronto if there's a particular IP range, or criticality equal high if we find a DNS server, those type of things. So first, system-generated tags. If we look at an example here, we have an asset. This IP address is a value that we can see here in the columns. But we'll notice these type of tags to the right: operating system class, version, operating system type, host name, IP address, NetBIOS, MAC address. Those type of things are collected from the scanner when it scans and interrogates a host. Custom asset tags, as you'll see here, are something like business unit or availability equal high, application, shopping cart, are values that you can set through your asset tag column. And when you create the actions, create your asset tags, every tag has a key value pair. As such an example, if we say function, then you can create these. This is just a list that currently exists in this repository. Function equal HR. You can also import from a file if you already have these type of asset tags collected, say a spreadsheet or a CSV file, and you can put in. But just by creating these tags doesn't automatically assign them to an asset. This is just a way if you want to create the tags to get started into the application. If you look at your assets, you can also assign asset tags either individually by selecting an asset and creating tags, or you can do things in bulk. Say, for example, if I want to do a location tag, I've got one already set up, but I know I've got a location, Greenville, and I can assign these tags to newly discovered assets based on a range. So maybe I've got a IP range in that location, Greenville, and that would give me an ability to create a tag and then automatically assign it in bulk for any asset that currently has an IP address in that range, and apply it to all assets. Or conversely, you can remove from an asset if you have something that maybe you've moved locations or you've changed other rule sets, and you can go in and remove these assets based on this same type of rule. So asset sources in the VRM platform is an example Active Directory. You can set up a rule in your asset sources to configure the VRM platform to reach into that Active Directory, put your credentials in, and the type of rules that you'll want to collect, the information you want to collect from Active Directory, and the frequency you want to collect it. And through setting that up, it will automatically import in those assets from Active Directory into this repository and assign tags based on those technical attributes that it collected. Again, IP address, MAC address, those type of things, host name, host version, operating system version. And based on the frequency you set up for that coordination, that synchronization, update this repository automatically. So it's another way to be able to create assets, import them in from a third-party source, and create those tags either manually or through a rule set, and then have those assets automatically tagged with very little intervention. So within asset rules, another feature within VRM platform, this is where you can really get very finite in terms of your business metrics and how you want to assign rules. Say, for example, a system-generated rule that says, if I find SMTP as a service running on a host, automatically assign the function as a mail service. If I find a DNS service, automatically assign the function as DNS and update its criticality to high. Another feature by default, and this is an example of that rule set. I have an open service, the pattern is DNS. I set the criticality equal high, and the function is DNS. And you can create any number of rules. And then again, you can control permissions for those rules as well, like any other object within the VRM repository. The one key is when you create a rule, the first time through, is you'll want to go launch that, execute that rule, apply a rule set. So when you first create the rule by default, it doesn't automatically in background update the system. This gives you control over, do you want to create your various rules as a first step, then collaborate and get permissions and authorities to execute the rules, and then come back into the repository and execute the rules that you've established. So once assets have been imported in, and technical information such as IP address, MAC address have been updated into the system, and those type of tags have been created, and you've created your asset tags based on your business rules and either applied them manually to these assets, as in this example here, where you're editing a specific asset and updating its tags, or creating asset rules that in bulk and automatically assign tags. You can also use these tags to create scan jobs. So rather than remembering locations and IP addresses and IP address range, type of ways you might manually create scan execution, we'll create a job here based on an asset source Active Directory. We'll do a vulnerability scan category. We'll do a full scan. One of the very basic scan policies within VRM. So in this case, I want to select a scanning engine that can reach the hosts. In this case, we had an Active Directory scanning engine. And rather than putting IP addresses and range and host names, we can go to our asset filter, asset tag filter. And when we created that asset collection, the tag name was asset source, and we tagged everything coming in from that Active Directory connection with a tag value of VRM test AD. The name is not as important as it is to understand that when you created these tags, just as you say criticality equal high or location equal Toronto sales office, rather than remembering the targets by IP, you can go in here and look at that tag that you've created, location equal Toronto, and select that as your tag source, your collection. So from that standpoint, this job no longer has to be updated with the assets. As long as anything in the repository is tagged with that value, it will automatically be brought into the scan collection whenever you scan. And from there, just like any other scan job, the next step would be to put authentication in if you need, You can set any of the advanced settings. By default, VRM automatically configures the scanner based on performance and the type of scan policy you're running. You can also set things like email notification to receive an email when a scan completes, and even a default scan report, say a dashboard in PDF, can be sent to you through this workflow. And lastly, set your schedule. Setting this job to run immediately. You can also maybe schedule for later this evening. Do recurring scans. If you do a recurring scan, the benefit here is in this workflow, you've used the asset repository to tag them the way you need to, and then have ways to update automatically when other assets come in based on rules. And then set your scan job up to use those asset tags to automatically and dynamically update the asset collection that gets scanned whenever the scan runs. So once I set my recurring scan, let's just say we want to scan it monthly, and we want to start these scans at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And once I finish, that scan job will automatically execute. Assets will dynamically be brought into that scan each time it is scheduled to run. And so from there, once scan's complete, you can go into dashboards and analysis and reporting to take a look at your results. So this concludes the overview of using the asset management features within VRM and using them to control asset scope within your scan activities. Analyzing scan results using these asset values will be demonstrated in another video. We hope this video has been informative, and we look forward to showing you more videos on VRM and other products from St.